I never get tired of listening to this song. Hello everyone, Artemu the Violet Wizard here, and today we're continuing The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX. That's a little odd there. Hopefully everything is good. Okay, today we are continuing on our adventure on the island of Koholint. Last time we took down 2 dungeons, the Angler's Tunnel, which ended with a very anticlimactic fight, and the Color Dungeon, which also ended in a anticlimactic fight. But at least we're now rocking some sweet blue duds, and we are looking pretty good and ready to take on the next dungeon. Before we do that, there is one other thing I want to take care of before we go challenge the next area. Because there is... when we were going through some of the stuff here, one of the things I was doing was going around the map and showing off as many of the... just showing off as many places that we could do now that we have the ability to swim. However, there is one other thing that I neglected to do before we started off the next session, and, well, before the end of the last session that I would like to take care of. Somewhere around this area, I believe we want to be in the water, or something. Yeah, now that we're around here, we should be able to do that. So we're just in the water around the castle that we went to much earlier on in our adventure in order to get the gold leaves for our friend Richard. And if my memory serves me right, if we are swimming in the water around here, there's something we are able to get. So I think for this we want to be around here. Somewhere in the water we can grab something. I think it's somewhere around on this screen. Just swim around in the water, we get a piece of heart. This is obviously one of the pieces of heart I did not get when I was a kid, first playing through this game. But by getting that, we now have an extra heart container, which I definitely appreciate. We're not going to be able to use any of our tools on the water, so no sense trying to get the ocarina there in order to warp. But yeah, we got ourselves another heart container from that, which is very good because we only need to collect 4 more pieces of hearts, and then we'll have pretty much every heart we need for the rest of our adventure. I have a good idea on where some of the hearts are, so we should be able to grab them relatively well. But yeah, that is the last thing I really want to take care of before we go head to the next area, as this next section could be pretty tricky. Just want to dive back into the water here, and we're going to swim back to Martha's Bay, which we explored a little bit earlier in the last session after obtaining the ability to swim. So I think now there is something else we could do after accomplishing one of our objectives here. Yep. So after taking care of the little fishing quest we could do before, we now have this. I have a feeling that I'll catch a big fish again. Keep your eyes open and watch a pro at work. Oh, looks like you got him. My, that's a big one. Come on, you almost got it. Whoa, that's a big one. Hey, photo guy, can you take a picture of this? Hey, be more careful next time! It's another humorous little scene we can get recorded into film there. Yeah, this game's just full of very humorous moments. I definitely like to see them all. But now it is finally time to head into our 5th dungeon. Well, the 5th of the main dungeon, since the color dungeon was obviously optional. So to get in here, we want to dive at this little section here. And then we'll be able to make our way through the water. Through that little cave. Then we go up here. And now we're inside the rocks. So it's time to enter Level 5, Catfish's Maw. It's definitely gonna be the hardest dungeon we have seen up to this point. And yeah, I really mean that. This place is definitely gonna be trickier than any of the previous areas we've been to. Angler's Tunnel really wasn't that bad of a place, but this is definitely a big area, and it's full of different kinds of threats to us. So I'm gonna go here first. We can grab the compass right away. That's very good. And we're gonna have to take the stairs if we're gonna progress forward. So these guys with the shield faces, I believe in the in the Switch version, those guys get a bit of a redesign where they are redesigned into Helmosaurs, which are kind of a classic enemy from A Link to the Past, which obviously this game has a lot of Link to the Past references, so it doesn't surprise me that they would do another one. As we could hear from that compass we picked up, there is something we can get in this room. And by pushing those blocks, we're able to get the key there. It's got a big empty room here. It's a skull pattern on the floor. And 4 blocks in the corners. We'll want to remember this area for much later. Alright, let's progress onward. Also, I like this little bit here where you have the blocks on the chains and you weigh them down by being on top of them. It's a very standard puzzle there. Just try to take care of these masked guys. Using the Rock's Feather is very good for taking these guys out. Just jumping behind them and then slashing their backside. Those guys dealt with, we can now go up here with our key. So don't think there's anything for us to get in this room. Just like to try to take as many of these guys out as we can. Gonna need to take these guys out. You. And we got you. So one of 2 pathways we can take here. So I think this room is just for stocking up on items. Yeah, I think that's what this area is for. Take you out. Oh, come on. Alright, there was a chest here. It's obviously not going to contain a key because we didn't hear the compass activate. But we do get the stone beak, which will definitely be helpful to us. Alright, we got 2 pathways to take here, so let's go up. Stock up on arrows again here. And you'll definitely want to remember that little thing over there with the hook for later. Let's go over this way. I remember this place being a very tricky spot. Probably be a good idea not to... Yeah, we kind of do have to go here, unfortunately. How did we actually get across there? I'm thinking this area might not be somewhere we need to go just yet. Yeah, we can't do this yet. Wait, did I hear something right? Alright, so yeah, there is going to be a key in that room. Let's just hop over here. Take all that damage we didn't need. I'm thinking this might be another room to... Nope. Okay. Let's go over here. And want to move up. I'm taking so much unnecessary damage right now. Alright, you're down. Yeah, no, I'm not really being very talkative right now. Just mainly want to focus on dealing with the things in the dungeon for the time being. If you can't destroy a skeleton with your sword, try using a bomb. That is very good advice. So now that we're in this room, we have a new enemy, the Stalfos Knight. Originally just a regular enemy in A Link to the Past, this guy's now a full-blown mid-boss. This guy will hop around attacking you with his sword. You want to just slash at him to bring him down, and then use a bomb in order to inflict damage. Pretty much the same way you fight this guy back in A Link to the Past. Really not that bad of a fight, honestly. I can't beat you! I'm out of here! So we haven't exactly dealt with him just yet. So why don't we go forward then? Hey, buddy. See what is in this chest. I've got what was inside this box. Come and get it if you can. Master Skull. So yeah, this guy's actually the Master Stalfos. It's kind of wrong on my previous statement. That's okay. So we got ourselves a new mission here. We need to hunt down the Master Stalfos in order to get the item that was in that chest. It's going to require going around quite a bit of the map here. As I said before, this is a very big dungeon, so trying to navigate this place is a little difficult, but we should have a pretty good time of it. So mainly thinking that we could try to talk about some stuff when I need to backtrack to some previous areas. I feel like that is a good use of our time here. Right, we're able to deal with those guys very easily. Dive under where torchlight beams do cross. It's a good piece of advice there. Oh, would you look at that? There's the... see there that is one of the pathways to the boss. So we're gonna need a key to get there and something else that we currently do not have. But yeah, you'll definitely want to remember that for later. So I like those statues along the walls. They kind of look like Bowser, which I feel is a nice little reference. Pushing that, we're able to access this area now. And... probably gonna have to magic powder this guy to get through. There we go. And nothing for us? Okay. Alright, so that brings us back to this area. So yeah, there was nothing in that path we really needed, unfortunately. That's not going to get us any more arrows, okay? So now we know one of the paths to get to the boss's lair, though it's going to be a while before we can actually do anything in that area. Alright, buddy, could you just go away? And we are back over here now. Don't really need to worry too much about rupees by this point. I just want to go this way first. Got some more of these crystals we can charge through. It'll also be good to do some damage to that guy. Let's grab that heart. If we go up here, it's got a room with a lot of water, some of which also being dark. Probably see what we have to do here. Let's go underwater, and we have some new enemies. Bloopers. It's a classic water enemy from the Mario series. They will chase after you going up and down along their path, and they can be a little tricky, but not really that hard to deal with. Let's grab some health on this Goomba, and back into the water. hoping this is the right path here. Okay, so we're gonna have to come back later for that one. Yeah, you can see just how many of the paths in this dungeon just... you can get to certain areas very early on, but you're unable to do anything to actually get through there. It's a little annoying. But, I don't know. Still think this is a good dungeon. There's nothing we can really do here. Spawn some enemies there, but nothing we can do with them. Get past these blade traps. Now, I want to go up here. Grab a piece of power, which I definitely appreciate. Now, there's a thing we could do here, depending on our... if we are just careful about this. Alright, but taking out all the enemies here, we now have access to this room. It's one of those skull rooms we saw before, only there was no Stalfos there. But if we go in here, we get a map! Definitely appreciate that. So now we have a good look at the dungeon. Kind of has a serpentine look to it. Wonder if that's going to relate to anything going forward. So let's press on. Now, one of the things about this dungeon is that we need to go hunt after the Master Stalfos. And in order to get him, we need to chase him to those different rooms that we saw all throughout the map. Specifically, he's hiding in all the rooms with the skull patterns on them. But in order to get to him, we need to be able to jump over there very easily. So yeah, in order to get to this guy, we need to go to these various rooms in a specific order. The actual order we need to take is dependent on the amount of blocks that can be found in each of the rooms. So the first chamber we fought the Master Stalfos in had 2 blocks. I mean, it had 1 block in the room. Now in this room, there are 2 blocks. Gah! You found me! You're a real pesky kid, you know that? So I've been told. This guy does a lot of damage despite the fact that we have the blue tunic, which is supposed to give us added defense. Yeah, we just deal with this guy in the same way we beat him before. Just whack him and then plant a bomb. Pretty simple fight. Ah, I can't beat you! I'm out of here! Alright, there he goes. And luckily, we know where the next room we have to go is. Just want to head back up here for this. Ah, jeez, we need to get these enemies to spawn again. I think we can move that over. And now we can access this room. And once more, we have to face the Master Stalfos. There you. Ah, you found me! You're a real pesky kid, you know that! God, this guy's doing so much damage to me. Take that! Alright. Another hit on him there. Ah, I can't beat you! I'm out of here! Alright, now there's just one more room where we can challenge this guy at. So I know for a fact that we have one of the locations. We've seen one of the rooms we could fight this guy at. So I'm going to quickly use the Monbo's Mambo in order to warp back to the start so that we just quickly get to where we need to go. Alright, get you guys, just leave me alone. And while we're just handling these chumps, there's some stuff we can talk about that's been going on. I did a bit more drawing today, which I'm definitely very happy for. Got a pretty positive reception from the people in the Discord server I shared it with, which is always good. And in terms of some other stuff that has been going on, last night I had a pretty interesting game of Mario Party Superstars with one of my friends. Yeah, it was just such a crazy game with so much shit happening that was just very, very interesting for a lot of reasons. One of the most notable things that happened in the game is on the last turn, I decided just to land on a Bowser space because I could. And we ended up rolling the specific thing that happens that causes all the player coins to be shared amongst all players evenly, which is just, God, that really changed the dynamic of the game so much. And depending on how things could have gone, that game could have ended in some very interesting ways, with just any one of us really scoring the win, but ultimately my friend won the game, and it was definitely a good effort on his part. With that said, we have finally dealt with Master Stalfos. And we get our prize! You got the hook shot! Its chain stretches long when you use it. It's another classic Zelda item, first appearing in A Link to the Past. And I am definitely happy to see that we got this now, as the hookshot is definitely a good item for a number of reasons. In fact, it is what I consider one of the best items in the game. Like, it's so good not only for dealing with a lot of different threats. As you can see there, it can pull off these shields from these guys' faces, and it can also damage enemies. And it has just such a long reach compared to your sword, which is always very good. However, as we demonstrated there accidentally, the hook shot is able to hook onto blocks and stones and chests, and just allows you to be able to navigate good portions of the map so easily. It's easily one of the best items in the game. It's so good for dealing with enemies and traversing the map, and also good for retrieving items as well. So yeah, we're definitely going to be using this quite a bit, as it is just tremendously useful. Yeah, I can't get enough of the hook shot. It's one of my favorite iterations of this particular item, and it's still great even in a bunch of later titles as well. I don't feel like we need to go in there at the moment. Let's go this way first. Yeah, 'cause I definitely know we'll want to go this way. Another interesting thing about the hookshot in this game is that when you have the chain extended, for whatever reason, you don't take damage, which I feel is very good. Look, you can even use it underwater. You can't even use most items underwater, but you can with the hookshot. Another reason why I love this item. It is so good. God, it feels so good to finally have this. Whoop. So we can use the hookshot to extend those bridges. And over here, we got the Nightmare's key. Alright, but before we can go to the Nightmare, we need to get another small key. So we definitely have quite our work cut out for us. Got some more sections of the dungeon to explore in order to get everything we need. But at the very least, we do have the nightmare key, so shouldn't be much longer before we are done with the dungeon. So as I said before, this dungeon can be very tricky to do just because it has a lot of chambers. A lot of them require going back after you have obtained certain items. Yeah, look in the map. Want to go this way. But we are almost done with this area. It's just going to take a little more work to get everything we need. So as we're going through the rest of this dungeon, since we are pretty much going back to all these rooms we've been to before, there's some stuff that we can still talk about. Something that I am definitely excited for is today an announcement was made about that one Nickelodeon fighting game that was announced quite some time ago. I really didn't have much of an interest in this particular game for the longest time, but an announcement came in today that got me very excited for this particular game. Because one of my favorite Nickelodeon characters of all time, XJ9, aka Jenny Wakeman, has been confirmed to be coming into the game as a new character, and I am so excited for that. I've always loved Jenny, just one of my favorite Nickelodeon characters of all time, and really excited to see how she works, because she looks like she'll be a very fun character. And I might actually work up the motivation to actually get this game. Who knows? I don't know, I really haven't felt too much motivation to actually play it, but who knows? I may eventually grab it. Probably will grab the PC version, since it's one of the versions that I'd easily be able to use at the moment. Well, yeah, definitely a very fun addition. I really like the way her model looks, and can't wait to see more of how she plays. So that announcement also came with some very good announcements to some of the other characters that are coming in the game. We could go fight the boss right now, but there's another area we haven't been to yet here that I want to definitely check out. Alright, we can use that key to go over here. And thinking about the loadout I want to have here, let's have the bow and our feather here. So we go in here, we got a new mid-boss, Goma. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting fight. We've got these big spider crab-like enemies, and they're a little tricky to deal with. We got two of them to beat, and they're only vulnerable when their eye is open. So, yeah, just gotta wait for them to open their mouth, and then want to hit them in the eye. So I believe you can fight these guys with the hook shots in case you don't have the bow and arrow, but the arrows are pretty much the optimal way to take care of this boss. Just gotta wait for the next opening here. Alright, got you there. And yeah, it's an alright boss here. Just kinda takes a while for them to finally expose themselves. Yeah, as I was saying before, one of the other announcements that came from the Jenny announcement in that game is some other characters getting added to the game later this year are Hugh Neutron and Rocco, which I'm definitely happy for. It's kind of weird that Hugh is actually getting added to the game before his son Jimmy, but I'm all for it. Hugh Neutron is just such a fun character, and really interested to see how he plays. He's probably going to be pretty unique. But yeah, I'm very excited for that announcement, and we'll probably be grabbing the actual game at some point. I want to say I'm also excited for that Warner Brothers fighting game that's also going to be coming out soon, because, man, the roster in that is great, too. Like, we have an opportunity to have Finn and Jake fight Batman, Harley Quinn, and Tom and Jerry. Just, man, it's such an interesting lineup of characters. Alright, there's one more chest we can grab. So I think we can do this. If we go over here. Just quickly get across there with our hook shot, which I'm definitely glad for. Then we can hook over here. Take care of those Helmosaur guys. And we can grab another small key. Yeah, that's just in case you waste the other key that you still need in order to access one of the two areas. Either to access the Goma battle, or to access the actual boss. Which, I'm glad they have that as a failsafe. Definitely useful. And I believe while we're in this area, if we can extend this bridge here... So I believe there's something good in this pot. Yeah, you'll always find a fairy in that pot, which is definitely good to grab. Alright, so now we've taken care of pretty much everything we need to do here, so it's time to go face the boss. Yeah, it's amazing we're able to get through this dungeon in the amount of time that we had. I mean, this stream has so far has only been about 30 minutes, but even still, really goes to show just how big of a dungeon this is. It took this much time for. And we still got a lot of other things to do as we go into the other stuff I want to go over. But we will get to that very soon. So yeah, definitely some interesting gaming announcements for a multitude of reasons. Alright, let's use that last key there, and let's go across to face the boss. Alright, we should be pretty good. We're full on health. We got the potion, so we don't have to worry about getting damage. And in terms of what we're going to need here, I would like to have the feather with us for this fight, but we are going to need the sword alongside the hook shot. So, you are the outsider come to wake the windfish. I shall eat you. Behold the boss of Catfish's maw, the Slimy. This is going to be a tricky fight here. So we got the tail in the middle of the room that'll be swinging around trying to hit you. You got the head of the beast coming at you from the various holes in the side of the wall. And you gotta pull the head of the boss out in order to strike at its heart. So yeah, this is an interesting fight. Oh, that was very close. Ow. Definitely take advantage of the invincibility frames that you get. And, man, we actually took that guy out pretty quickly, all things considered. Like, there was some other things that could happen in this fight that we could have demonstrated. Tisk, tisk. You don't seem to know what kind of island this is. What a fool! That's the first time one of the dungeon bosses has actually spoken after we landed the finishing blow. And it's probably not going to be the last. Let's grab our heart container. You got the wind marimba. A nice way to end things off in that area. Shrine. An island secret in the shrine. We actually visited a shrine much earlier on in our adventure. Although we didn't get to fully explore everything there because I want to save it for later. But yep, that was Catfish's Maw. Definitely an interesting dungeon, all things considered. We did spend quite a good amount of time in there, so yeah, it definitely makes sense for a multitude of reasons. But now that we have this new item, the hook shot, things on the island are going to be so good. You can see here, it's unable to actually kill those guys, but it is able to stun them. We sadly can't use it to deal with those bushes, though. But yeah, overall, just hookshot is one of my favorite items in the game. It allows us to do so much that is so good. Oh boy. Yeah, with that dungeon taken care of, there are some things that we are able to do that I would very much like to get to see. It's got a mermaid friend popping up again. I always like seeing her because she has just such a nice sprite. Alright, so now that we have the hook shot, there are a ton of things that are open up to us on the island. So let us go take care of a few of those. Namely, one of the things we're going to do relates to our very long-running item quest, where we have gone all over the island of Koholint and gathered various items from various people in order to use. So we want to use our hook shot to get across those rocks there. And we have the statue in the shape of a mermaid. You put the missing scale in the mermaid statue. There was a lot of lore behind this particular statue, as it was sculpted by the artist in the animal village, with the mermaid that we helped earlier posing in order to make it. And the mermaid also mentioned something about a magnifying lens. If we enter here, there's nothing really of note here, except for this. You got the magnifying lens! This will reveal many things you couldn't see before. This is quite the interesting item that would eventually lead into the Lens of Truth in later Zelda games. So got a pretty cool item for a multitude of reasons. Namely, it allows you to see things that weren't visible before. So got all of these enemies here that were actually inside this cave. So you're almost guaranteed to bump into these guys on your way to get the magnifying lens. But yeah, with that, now that we have the magnifying lens, some new things have already opened up on the island. So we go to certain locations, we can uncover certain things with a magnifying lens. That'll be useful for a multitude of reasons. One of the things I actually want to do with that is... yeah, there is something really good we can do with a magnifying lens I definitely want to show off very soon. Oh look, Granny is here! Yahoo! A new broom! Superb! Yeah, she just comes over to the animal village from time to time to sweep. I think that's a nice little detail. If we enter this hut, now that we have the magnifying lens... Hey, you can see me? You must have a magnifying glass. I'm not a troublemaker. I just want to live in peace. So we have one good Zora here in the village. Hi there, it's me, the photographer. You say Zora is in the house? I have to take a picture of that. I'll call it I Found Zora. Trust me, Link has had a history of interesting interactions with Zoras. If you keep me a secret, I'll tell you something useful. Go to Taranbo Shores, use the magnifying glass, and you'll find someone like me. Someone like you, eh? We'll definitely keep that in mind. Alright, but now, what I'd like to do is go do something that we got a small hint about before in one of our sessions, but we couldn't actually do until much later. Because now that we have our trusty... now that we have the hook shot, as well as the bow and arrow, there's some stuff we can now do in this area. I think one of the things I want to show off is... Yep, that section of wall is hollow. So let's plant a bomb there. That exposed a little side path in this cave. And now we have this little bit with a rock that can be broken with a bomb. So there is actually another way you can deal with that without having to expose this hidden cavern, but I mainly wanted to show off the legit way you do that. So now that we have the path open up here, we can go into our hook shot and go across here to grab another piece of heart. This is one of the last piece of heart we're going to need on our adventure. I guess we're going to have to take damage here in order to progress. Fine, whatever. So yep, only 3 more piece of heart, and I have a good idea on the ones that we can still get. See, I'm thinking for the remainder of this stream session, we'll be going around the island and trying to get as many things as we can now that we have our hook shot. I can already think of one thing that we're definitely going to do, so let's go head off to the mysterious forest. Or we could go to Taranbo Shore to try to get that one other thing we can grab. Man, there's just so much that is open up to us at this point. We can explore almost the entirety of the island at this point. And obviously we could go where the plot is telling us to go, but for the time being, I feel like we could take a little break from the story, just go around the island, see as much as we can, and interact with as many different places as we can, you know? It's all about the grand adventure, and I don't want things to end too soon, you know? It's like we still have lots to see on the island. Hello there, Great Fairy. I would appreciate being healed right now. And this will also give us opportunity to talk about some other things that have been going on. So, last couple of days, I've been playing through Earthbound, and as I said before in one of my previous sessions, I had reached a point in the game where we had reached one of the game's more infamous parts, which is trying to get the Sword of Kings, which is in a pretty... it's in an interesting area because it is a very hidden spot. Where you have to kill certain enemies that only appear in one section of the game during one very specific plot point. And thankfully, I actually had a pretty good run of the place because I actually managed to get the Sword of Kings relatively quickly in that area. So yeah, it's one of the items that you have like a 1 in 128 chance of trying to get from enemy drops. And thankfully, I was able to get it from like about the 54th Starman Super I killed. So we're able to take care of that relatively quickly. Well, it took me a few tries to get it, and I was very happy for that. I probably need one more secret seashell to be able to show off this other thing. So I'm thankful for that. Yep, that's another location you get a secret seashell. So yeah, I was having a very good time of getting through all of that in Earthbound, and another thing I really liked is that after clearing up all that, we were able to press on with the story, and now we're in the Lost Underworld. And I like to talk a lot more about Earthbound, but that is a game that I do intend to eventually stream at some point. It's gonna take a while, because I'm not planning on doing it for quite a while, but I will eventually be streaming it. Don't worry. So yeah, that is pretty much everything that's been going on with that game for the time being. So I've been watching a few people stream on certain things. Very recently today, I was watching the VOD from a stream that Salty DK Dan was doing, where he and a bunch of his friends are drawing fan art of Pokemon in alternate forms, which definitely got me interested in trying to do something similar with some people I know over Discord. I would very much like to try something like that. Especially because all those kind of group activities are just really fun. And I definitely appreciate it, given that there's some activities that are planned among our group that I'm not going to be able to do this week. And next week as well, so very much like an opportunity to get to spend some more time on all that with the good folks there. And among some other stuff wanting to do around with people, I don't think there's too much else that needs to be said. It's been more of the same, you know, just trying to get by, especially with how things have been in this pandemic, which thankfully things should be slowing down a bit, I feel, depending on how things have been. I don't really check up on the news on how things are with COVID and all that, but hopefully things are gonna start to get a bit better as we move onward in these things. Trying to think of some more locations we can go to now that we have our hook shot. Few places I can think of. I'm gonna have to go this way. So I think with the hook shot we can... Yep, we can damage the lotuses now that we have this thing. So if there's anything you need to grab in the bottle grotto, you could definitely do that at this time. Some other things you could really do with this. I don't know. Be definitely seeing a lot of the other stuff we can do with the hook shot going forward. But definitely want to be in here. Okay. There was a different area I was thinking, because we could just get in here with the jumping. Okay. There is something very close by that I can think of we can do. I know we can also go to Taranbo in order to check out this one thing that we heard we could do, but I want to save that for a little bit. Being able to take out the big lotuses is also something very cool. Yeah, in terms of some other stuff we've been doing, I did finish up some of the art I wanted to do this week, and it's seen a good amount of people liking it so far, and I'm actually very happy that it got asked to be added to a group, which I'm definitely appreciating. It's definitely something where I feel very attached and special about the art I draw, and I very much appreciate it when some people take an interest and ask for my art to be displayed within their groups, you know? And especially because I know, like, a world can be a tricky place if you're creative at times, but Still nice to interact with certain communities and try to get your voice out there in order to share something you created with a bigger audience. So I very much appreciate these opportunities. Just trying to see if there's any secrets around here, because I know somewhere in the caves around Tao Heights is something that is important for us to see. Yeah, we can see there's one of the heart containers that one of the piece of heart we still need to get. And still thinking about the locations of the other ones we need. I think that there are... Alright, there are 2 of them at least I know the location of, but for the last one, it's gonna be a little tricky. I need to really think about this, but should be pretty close to getting to all that in a relatively good amount of time, but yeah, I'll eventually get there. So now that we can swim, we're able to go up to this side of the mountain, and of course there's a lot of stuff for us to explore on this section of Tao Heights. A lot of caverns to explore, a lot of different tricks and puzzles to get through. Okay, this area I know we're going to want to come back to at a later date. And I'd actually like to show off why this area is going to be important. There's a key over there. Just a heads up, we're not going to get that key until much later on. So we're going to have to wait for that. So in the meantime, as we're just exploring this area, so I guess one of the things I definitely like to show off up here. This guy looks familiar. Chickens these days don't have the fighting spirit they used to. In the old days, they could fly, flap, flap. But now, see? Cluck, cluck. It's got a little farmer guy just raising chickens, and he looks an awful lot like Luigi. I do like the character designs of this game so much. It's very charming. One of the places I want to see is over here. Just want to show off a bit of this area because it will be important to something in the future. And I mainly just want to show off one of the things we can do here. By knocking down that bush, it exposes a way forward over here. But I think this is the one area I was thinking of. So let's grab our power bracelet here. Just pull this guy off. Go away. I believe we can equip our bombs here. Yep, the wall is hollow. Blast that open and go down here. And we should be able to get that piece of heart that's been taunting us all throughout the game. So yeah, that one has been there for quite a while, so finally getting to grab it is very good. Trying to take out a few of these enemies. And yeah, there's not too much else we need to see in this area besides some of the things past here, which, if we jump down here, that kind of cross formation is a path here that we couldn't access until we got the hook shot. Well, we couldn't even get to this area without the hook shot, so it doesn't really matter too much. So we're now in the western section of Tao Heights. Got these boulders dropping down from the top of the mountain, and don't want to get hit by those because they will do damage. This area has a lot of callbacks to Zelda 1 with the falling rocks, as well as A Link to the Past, obviously. Definitely like the view from here, just the distant ocean, the way it sparkles, it's very nice looking. In that chest, we got 50 rupees. Appreciate that. Got some more stairs here. Oh, I am very happy to see this particular room. So this is another callback to A Link to the Past. So we got this little well here between these statues, and if we sprinkle some powder in there...
Hey kid, you woke me up from a fine nap. Thanks a lot. But now I'll get my revenge. Are you ready?
Sure.
I'll let you carry more magic powder. Hee-hee! Are you ready?
Sure. Seizure warning!
Hee-hee! You deserve it. Now look at all that junk you have to carry. Ha! Take care. See you again.
So that is the Mad Batter. And every time you encounter this guy, he will increase the capacity for one of the items that you're able to carry. In this case, he doubled the amount of magic powder we can carry in our bag, which is definitely good because magic powder is useful for quite a few things. Nice. If we go down here now, the section of the mountains with that blocked off cave we can go see. Let's blast this wall down. And if we go in here... Yeah, this area I definitely know of. It's got a cannon that's shooting fire at us. No matter what tools we use, we cannot get past this jet of fire. So we're gonna have to come back to try to get past that later, because otherwise, there's not much we can do here. This area should be very familiar to us, as it is right above this area here. So yep, we're back around Goponga. And we could obviously explore some more of Tal Heights sometime in the future. But I want to say that for a bit later, because there's plenty of stuff for us to see up there, and we are going to need to go back to Tal later on in the story. But, in the meantime, there's something else I want to do now that we are in this area that we are able to access with the hookshot. So I want to head as far to the east of the island as I can, in order to get to an area that we could see before, but we couldn't actually access until this point. Because now that we have our hook shot, we are able to go to a certain area, which I definitely appreciate. Alright, Guardian Acorn, give us double defense. So remember this area in the Switch version? You could throw a bomb into one of the holes up there and you would get an item from that. It's kind of interesting. Alright, let's go across here now that we have our hook shots. A lot of likes in this area, and I don't like that. It's got these stairs here, which... nothing we can do there. If we head down here, we have a raft building. Want to go on a raft ride for 100 rupees? Sure. Okay, the raft is ready for you outside. Enjoy. So we got ourselves kind of a bonus area. You're not required to actually go to this area, but it can be useful for a few things. Just want to ride the raft down. And I want to avoid that waterfall and go down this one, I believe. So, yep, we got a section where we can just explore the rapids around here. You have a set path along the various stretches of the river you can go down, and you want to be very careful with your position here, because depending on your pathway, that determines some of the different goodies you're able to get along the river. Sadly we can't get over there. This area has a lot of interesting things for us, if you're able to get the right path. And depending on where you go, there are some things here. You can see that chest up there. We'll definitely want to remember that for later. Go down here, grab that, and grab those rupees. There's a bunch of up there we could have gotten, but we can't. And then we arrive down here in kind of a familiar area that we could have explored a great deal of before, but we couldn't until we had obtained the ability to wade in water. It's actually very close to one of the plot important areas we need to go to at this point in the story. But yeah, if we go over this way, that will take you back up to the top of the raft area. Which, come to think of it, I'll probably take another ride down there just so we can fill up the map a bit more. Yeah, especially because this is an area that you don't really need to go to, but it can be good for a few reasons. Let's go ride the rapids again. We have a lot of rupees at this point, so I'm fine splurging a little bit. And then after we take care of this, I'm thinking we can head down to Taranbo and see about getting the last of the certain things we could get. Alright, so let's head down this fall. And we want to be very careful here to get over to this chest, which has 20 rupees. So that's one good thing from there. Head up this way. There's another chest we can get to. I have use your hook shot's also good for traversing the vines. Now you need look far for a secret. I don't believe there are any hidden items here, but we can dig just to be sure. And there's nothing else here. Maybe it's the Switch version where you're able to pull yourselves to different vines. Yeah, I think that is a thing exclusive to the Switch version. Because I distinctly remember in that one you could pull yourself to the vines in order to traverse these areas. Looking at the map here, there's a section we could take down. And that should be the last of this area. So yep, there's one section here that we couldn't access until a bit later, but I want to remember that for later, as it'll be very important to us. Let's move up here now that we're all done with that. Let's get healed up. Thank you very much. Close your eyes and relax. Thank you, Great Fairy. And I just want to show in the water here. Hello there, Mr. Owl. Woot! There are two shrines, one to the north, the other to the south. First, head south, where ancient ruins speak of the windfish. You will learn much there. Alright, so it's telling us one of the things we are able to do. And you can see there's a keyhole up there, which is a good indicator of what we're able to do in this area very soon. Yeah, we are just about done here. Just want to go check out what we're able to see at Taranbo now that we have access to our magnifying lens. And then we should be good to close things off today. Let's been a very interesting session. I was very glad I was able to get in 2 sessions this week. And it'll be very good to see some more of the adventure, obviously, as we progress ever onward. We are steadily getting to the end of the adventure, which, depending on how things go, we should be getting done in a few sessions going forward. It's still going to take a while, but we are close to the end. Closer to the end than we were before. Let's take our power bracelet here. And want to head down to this area. So remember that cave we entered before, but there was nothing in there for us? This is what that was referring to.
I found a good item washed up on the beach. I'll trade it to you for what you have in your B button.
Oh, I don't want to give you my rocks feather. I still need that. Except let's put the shovel in the B button. This is pretty much the item I recommend giving to this guy for this.
A good item washed up on the beach. I'll trade it to you for what you have in your B button.
Okay. You got the boomerang in exchange for the item you had. This is one of the starting items in most of the Zelda games. But in this game, it is pretty much the ultimate weapon. This thing is so good. You're able to fire it in 8 directions, making it really damn effective. And yeah, this is just one of the best weapons in the game. You can damage practically any enemy and destroy, like, anything. Which is very good for a number of reasons. Of course, in order to use this item, you have to sacrifice one of the other items in your inventory, otherwise you can't use it, because, you know, limited inventory space and all that. But it is very much worth it, as this is one of the best items in the game. Which is definitely a far cry from how the boomerang tends to be in some other Zelda games. But yeah, this is definitely a good one. And we can now go over here, now that we have access to that thing. And by going over here, we're able to access this area. And going down the steps, wouldn't you know it, we got our friend the Mad Batter again.
Hey, kid, you woke me up from a fine nap. Thanks a lot. But now I'll get my revenge. Are you ready? Okay, I'll let you carry more bombs. Hee hee! Are you ready?
Sure. Oh, that's such a strain on the eyes.
You deserve it. Now look at all that junk you have to carry. Ha!
Take care. See you again. I believe the flashing light is fixed in the Switch version, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Because otherwise, it is very concerning. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Hey, Mon. You know me. I like short names the best. It can display millions of polygons. I definitely need it as soon as possible. That's an interesting talk from this guy. What he said about millions of polygons. Based on when this game was first released, which is actually kind of late, considering a lot of things, that might actually be him referencing the Nintendo 64. So that is an interesting bit of foreshadowing. Alright, what I definitely like about the boomerang, we're actually able to kill those guys, which I like, and it can retrieve items. So yeah, just a very solid item, all things considered. Also turned those guys into fairies, which, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of fun applications to the boomerang. I definitely like it in terms of what you can do with items. But yeah, I want to say that this is probably going to be where we are ending things off here. We dealt with a pretty tricky dungeon, and we're able to get a ton of new things that are going to aid us as we head off to the next area of the game. So yeah, we are definitely looking very good for the challenges ahead. So with that said, this session of Link's Awakening has come to a close. Next time, we will be heading off to the Face Shrine, where we will uncover the truth about a lot of things. Until next time, have a good day, and take care.